Morning, Rajiv sir. Sir, you're on mute.
I said good morning.
Good morning, sir. Morning.
Nice to see you all this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Morning, Anupam. Morning, Pranav.
Good morning, Subrat.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Anupamji. Good morning, Pranav. This is Rajiv.
Morning, sir.
Glad
Morning.
to have you here.
Good morning, sir.
So we are just waiting, sir, for one more gentleman, that is Raghav Jan, to join. He should be joining in next 2-3 minutes. And after that, we can kickstart.
So Faraz, Mugdha, have all the students logged in?
Yes, sir. Few are logging in, but yes, the students are there.
Yeah, I can see about 57 participants.
Yes, sir. 57 participants are there. They have joined.
Okay. Okay.
At 9:35 sharp, let's start. Right, even if Raghav has not joined by then, he will be joining and will be updated.
Sure, sir. Sure.
So just to share with you, Rajiv sir, Anupam and I go back to 2001. So we are celebrating 20 years of our friendship.
Oh, wonderful.
Wonderful. And Pranav and I go back 2005. So we are celebrating 16 years of our friendship now.
I think this is the most precious thing to have today's time.
Yes.
The friendship and the long association that we can have with friends and our colleagues.
Yeah, that's so true, sir.
Yes, sir, that's right.
Subrat has been very kind in having us in such interactions. So we relive our memories and we share our experiences.
No, your experiences and always being closer to the students. I think it's value to the new generation, I must say. This experience sharing is the kind of learning which they can have more than what they have otherwise in classroom and books. So this is what I feel.
Mugdha ji, let's start.
Okay, Garima, you can start.
Very good morning, one and all. I'd like to begin with a quote by Dave Ulrich. Competencies can be communicated and therefore be taught and learned. On the behalf of Delhi School of Business, I, Garima Bhayana, feel privileged to extend a very warm welcome to everyone present here for the industry panel discussion on competencies for B School graduates in a VUCA world. It's my great pleasure and honor to have this opportunity to welcome our panelists for the discussion. The first panelist is Mr. Anupam Uppal, who is the Vice President at HDFC Bank Limited. The second panelist is Mr. Raghav Jain, who is the insurance domain expert at Tata AIG and SBI General Insurance. The third panelist is Mr. Pranav Dwesar, who heads the HR operations and employee engagement at Utkarsh Small Finance Bank. I'm also extremely delighted to welcome the CEO and co-founder of People Labs, Mr. Subrat Kumar, as the moderator for this industry panel discussion. We are honored to have such dignitaries amongst us. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to invite and humbly request our director, Professor Rajiv Thakur, to kindly say a few words.
Thank you for this opportunity. And let me begin by welcoming our esteemed guest on the panel. Am I audible? I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
So welcome, Mr. Anupam, Mr. Pranav, and of course, Mr. Raghav. I think, must be joining soon. And of course, our own Subratji, welcome to you this morning. And you have been really kind, all of you, to having taken your time this weekend and agreed to share your experiences and talk to our students. I must also congratulate and thank our own students who have been very proactively participating in the recent initiatives that we have or the institute has taken towards connecting them to the industry, the real life experiences. To just brief Mr. Pranav, giving them the idea of how to prepare themselves for the challenges and for the processes which happen where companies come and recruit for various positions. And that has drawn a tremendous positive feedback and enthusiasm from the industry, from the students. And that's where I would like to compliment and thank Subrat and his team to have organized and given this tremendous opportunity to the students. And as a sequence to that initiative, again, it was Subrat's initiative only and his suggestion that we should have this interaction with few of very experienced members from the industry. And as I can see, primarily ranging from the banking industry to the insurance, basically banking and financial services industry. We have 3 experts today with us, and we are really fortunate to have them. As far Delhi School of Business is concerned, as it carries the legacy of the larger umbrella institution, which is Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, which is in existence for nearly about 3 decades now, and is one of very prominent and eminent institutions in Delhi. And we at Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, we run programs, undergraduate programs under the IP University. And WIPS incidentally happens to be the topmost rated institution in the NCR, one of the most sought after institutions. And we run programs, undergraduate programs on management. We run undergraduate programs on law. And these 2 programs are very, very well received, well acclaimed. And then certainly there are new areas. I can see Mr.
I think we have lost out on Rajiv, sir, right? His connection has conked off.
Yes, I guess he has lost the connection. So I'll just call him.
Sure.
There was a power cut, so he's just joining back. Just give us a minute. He's
Sure.
just joining back.
Ms. Mugdha, meanwhile, if you can enable the video sharing of Raghav also in case it is not already done. I think the host only has to do that.
I have done that.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Subrat, there is some technical glitch with so we can just start the session. Maybe he'll join later. I think Subrat has also lost the connection. Let me call him.
So, Anupam, Raghav, and Pranav, in the interest of time, I think it will take some time for Dr. Thakur to rejoin. We'll be starting with our discussion. Just setting the context, at the very outset, I thank all three of you for sparing your valuable time and joining us over here to share your snippets of wisdom with the young future leaders over here. Uh, the way we are planning this entire interaction is that I'll be requesting each one of you to share your initial thoughts, maybe for 5-6 minutes. After that, based on whatever we are sharing, I will be requesting for your couple of questions from each one of you. And once that is done, we will be throwing it open to the audience for asking questions. I will be moderating the questions. So in case there are some questions which do not pass my muster, I myself will be taking those questions. Otherwise, I'll be requesting any one of you to take those questions. Without much ado, all of us know that how the times have changed the last 1 year. If you talk about, a lot of changes have happened, but what that actually means at the skill sets, what that means for the students who are graduating this year or maybe next year, how has the corporate landscape changed for them? What are the skills which have become more important? What are the skills which have become less important? Very recently, I was reading an article wherein they said that leadership also has to be looked from a different perspective of virtual leadership now. But without, again, much ado, may I now request Anupam to share your initial thoughts. Over to you, Anupam.
Thank you, Subrat, and thank you, Delhi School of Business, for inviting me. Reliving this moment where I've been through this campus life around 15 years back. So, guys, I represent a financial services industry, and I'm a recruiter. And we were having a discussion yesterday with Subrat, how lives have changed post-COVID, what kind of skill sets now I'm looking for. So normally when we go to any B school for hiring in the financial service industry, first is your technical skills, right? So you're being onboarded, you'll come in my team and you have to do a job. And let's say I'm from corporate lending, so I would request that I would like to have those students who would have basic understanding of accounting, would know financial statements, done some projects on some ratio analysis. And I get surprised to see some, when I see some CVs, the CVs, and it happened in my B school also. There are some templates, right? There are some typical financial templates, some mix of financial and sales templates. And when I see you come for a finance CV and this finance interview, and the CV is all sales, so what is this? Sir, wo template galat ho gaya. Ye template galat wala aa gaya. I want to do sales, but sir, finance company aa gayi, to main baith gaya. So it doesn't gives a good impression, right? So you are sorted out there only, because when I go to a campus, there are like 50-60 CVs coming in, right? I would take 20-25 kind of an interview. So please have these basic skills sorted out. I'm coming here to take you for some technical skills, and if you can't do a basic due diligence on a CV, what you are representing, you're off there. Because when you come in my side, you give term sheets to customer, right? And then those term sheets, if you write 12% in front of it instead of a 10%, you are out. You are not even shortlisted. You are not even being called. So that basic due diligence, your technical skills is what I'm hiring for. And then comes the we call it skill and will matrix, right? So skill is your technical skills, will is your attitude, your communication skills, of course. So communication skills, when I talk about, it's not about how good orator you are, how good command of language you have. So we Indians are very verbose globally. If you travel globally, you meet with Firangs, you will get to know that we are very verbose. So I want people who are succinct, who are able to deliver the message which I want you to deliver, and are good listeners, because we are again the customer facing people, right? Everybody is selling some sort of a thing. I'm selling money right here. So you have to go to the customer. Customer will say 10,000 things. You have to be a good listener, not say something which is on your mind. You listen to him, and then let's build on that conversation. So you have to, you have to build relationships with your customers and then grow the business. So that's part on the communication skill. Then I see something about whether you will mingle in my team. right? So you join as a trainee or an intern, whether you can work in a team or you're a lone wolf. So if you're a loner wolf, nerds or IT job is good for you. But if you're coming in a banking financial industry, you have to mingle with people. You have to meet tens of customers. You will have a portfolio about 50 customers. So you have to be a borderline extrovert or somewhere between an introvert or an extrovert. Nobody wants introverts nowadays in a life in a customer facing kind of a role. So maybe you might be an introvert in your social personal life, but when you come out 9:30 in the morning in the office, I want you to be a very gregarious kind of person who mingles well. And fourth thing which I have learned since Dhoni came in our lives is being calm. I need people who are very calm, composed, because when you are in the market, you are being shouted at. Everybody is being shouted. So a CEO of the company is even shouted by his wife or by the children in his house. So nobody is dispensed with that. So how you react to that kind of a reaction in your composure, being calm, not breaking the barriers of the guidelines which are there, is what is required. And because you represent your brand, sometimes the person in front of you can be unreasonable, but you don't have to be in his shoes and talk like that. You maintain your dignity and reply to him very politely. So these 3-4 matrices, I think, on the skill is what I'm looking at. In 10 minutes, I cannot judge a person. Your CV is a replica of what you have done in 22 years. Your marks shows your focus. Your extracurricular shows where your energy is. What you did in your internship would give will give me a reflection what you could do in 2-3 months. So in a whole, I get to know. I basically judge people on these 4 matrices: technical, communication, teamwork, and being calm, composed. And then I take a call. And lastly, that it's a competition. I've come for 2 or 3 people. You don't have to be it's very subjective. You have to be the best among the best. So you have to be better than your peers on that day. You can be you can be a job fit for me, but I've come here to take 2 or 3 person, and the people in your campus are better than you. So you have to see your peer compare pool that day and then beat the rest. I think, Subrat, that's my initial views on how to begin this day. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Anupam. If you ask me personally, I absolutely love 2 of your pointers. When I visit a lot of these schools, somewhere a lot of students are under the wrong assumption that, just because I can speak good English, I'll be getting any job which I want. So I think that's a very, very important wake-up call for all the students listening over here, that your competency and your technical knowledge is extremely important. And the second thing which you talked about, that everyone has a bad day. And I think in the post-COVID world, if there is one word which has caught the fascination of practitioners and academicians alike, that is resilience. And perhaps you were referring to that everyone has a bad day, but at the end of the day, can you just once again shake up and go again for the kill, or you are just like, yo, it was a bad day, no, I'm not gonna do. These are the 2 key takeaways for me personally. I'm pretty sure the students have made a note. On that note, while Anupam comes from the business side, I have another stalwart who comes from the HR side. So I will now move to Pranav, and I will request him to share his initial thoughts. Over to you, Pranav.
Yeah, thank you, Subrat. I hope I'm audible. I had some connection problems, so yeah, great. And Subrat, if you could ask the host to unmute my video, I'm not able to do that, I think. So
we have done that. Can you just please check?
Yes. Okay. Great. So Subrat, thanks for bringing me in on the HR perspective. I do quite a bit of campus recruitment, and when Anupam was sharing, the skills that he looks at, or the kind of inputs that he looks at, I was just smiling, because that's the typical discussion that we have when it comes to campus. Business always wants people who are ready today to do a particular role. The HR perspective is to get in people who will be doing a role 2 years hence, 4 years hence. What is the scalability of the person? What is the ability of that person to grow in the system is what the HR perspective is. So, HR might not value immediate deliverable skills as much as Anupam, wants us to. And on the other hand, we always have this crib with Anupam that, this guy has a lot of potential. He can, he has a ability to, learn, ability to think critically, and therefore, in the longer run, he'll be a much more fit when it comes to growth and taking on new assignments. So as HR, the competencies that, we look at typically are, critical thinking ability and learning agility, Subrat. So these two things, because, the HR perspective is always towards the career pathing of the individual, the career pathing from the organization's, standpoint, building a talent pool for future. These kind of, strategic thought processes is what typically drives, especially, campus recruitment. A lot of talent is taken from campuses with the perspective that they will take on higher responsibilities in the coming future. So while it is important to be, technically sound, obviously, but if people are close to new ideas, they don't have the learning agility, and if their understanding is only at a superficial level, that's when, I typically would want to get a second opinion in business, or have a conversation with business saying that, are we doing the right thing hiring this person from campus, because I don't see a long-term potential in terms of growing, and that's where the challenge is. So that's my perspective, so that these two competencies, critical thinking and the learning agility, these two competencies in today's world, I think they are the most important. I mean, not just for campus guys, I think even more so for people whom we are hiring, experienced laterally from the market. Their learning agility especially becomes a challenge.
I think I completely echo, and I couldn't have asked for a better start to this discussion, that we have got an immediate perspective, we have got a long-term perspective. But in the present times, I will concur with you, Pranav, that if I take one of your points again about learning agility. In fact, when I was interacting with many of these students some time ago, I also told them that when you get into a job, at least 10% of your salary should be spent in the initial years developing the competencies which you think are going to help you 6, 8, 10 years down the lane. Perhaps I did not do that in my career. I acknowledge that, but I just shared, and that is where, learning agility and remaining relevant with the passage of time, that is an extremely important thing which will do a lot of good to these kids. I have a small question for both you and Anupam, but I'm parking that as I move to Raghav for his initial thoughts. So I shared 20 years with Anupam. I shared 16 years with Pranav, and with Raghav, it has been 9 years now, and Raghav has done great in the insurance fraternity. And as he's charting his own entrepreneurial journey now, Raghav, what are your views about how the insurance industry has changed in last 1 year? And what are the things which you people looked at when you visited campuses? Over to you.
Right. Thank you, Professor Subrat. I would like to tell the students that I am into corporate sales. I was a part of insurance sales, and sales in insurance is considered a very dull job. If we talk about an insurance agent, the first picture comes to our mind is a man who's carrying a bag visiting door to door. This was the initial thought when I entered campus, and when I was given a job in insurance. But last 8 years, the insurance landscape has completely changed. So it is no more that we go to corporates just to sell the insurance product, but what we advise our clients is that we are transferring your risk. So we sell the idea, we meet, we tell them how can we reduce your cost, how can it benefit your company, and what all products can be benefited to your organization. So we do not talk about only just fire insurance or maybe transit insurance, but we talk about a lot more risk. For example, cyber security, for example, environmental pollution liability. We talk about directors and officers liability. So insurance landscape is evolving. There are newer and newer risks. So one thing that I would like to share is that insurance and work from home never go hand in hand, because insurance is such a product that when you do not meet the customer, you cannot sell insurance. But to share with you, last 8 months have been the highest insurance industry. We have convinced our clients. We have sold policies, not just policies, but big policies. And insurance sales involve so many aspects. For example, we want to evaluate the risk. So I am at my home, but I am virtually inspecting the site of my client, as in I am going to the factory via drone. Just a second. I'm so sorry for the interruption. So we go to the factories virtually, understand the risk, see the maintenance, quote for the risk, right? If I talk about life insurance and health insurance, we do a video call, we see the reports online, and then we decide whether we have to give insurance or not. So work from home has happened, insurance industry has thrived, sales have seen a lot of success, and I am sure that we have adapted to this change. And going forward, things are looking great. And I am 100% confident that insurance industry will support other industries. And we were also the first one to stand on our own. So I feel that when we talk about VUCA, insurance is doing great, and we have exciting times ahead.
Thanks, Raghav. So I think if we look at the market, and Raghav can correct me, the last year had seen the highest growth rate in insurance industry, and none of us would be surprised. The amount of COVID covers which you people sold, it is anybody's guess, right? And that threat or fear in the mind of customers, that was propelling a lot of insurance growth. But before I come back to you, Raghav, asking a specific question on insurance sector to you, let me come back to Anupam and Pranav. What I would request both of you to share your perspective is, see, it is nothing hidden. Right or wrong, each organization has their classification of tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 campuses. All right. What I would like to know from you is that, how does your expectation or how does your competency evaluation changes when you move across the tier of campuses? So any one of you can go first, and then the second person can share his.
I'd like to take that question. So I've gone to tier 1. Then I've not gone too high, but ABC guys, Excel guys have reported into me. So my expectation from them have been that they've been very high on technical skills. So they would be working on a merger and acquisition kind of a role. Their backgrounds have been 9-pointers all through their lives. They can sit on the desk for 12-14 hours, crunch numbers. High on technical skills. And when it has come to a sales kind of a job, doing a customer meet, managing 100 of people, stalls, managing vendors, then a tier 2 or tier 3 guy who was a very extrovert, who has done some kind of a held some college fairs, done some college fairs, worked in large teams. So those kind of skills, that's what we have looked into. So pure sales kind of a role, gone to a tier 2 or a tier 3 kind of a college. When it came to high technical quant skills, preferred person who has demonstrated academic qualification. We have gone there. So it's not that the tier 2, tier 3 won't have that, but then of course there are some cutoffs when you enter into a higher T school. So that has been demonstrated there in your CAT percentiles. So nobody wants to take that risk again. That is majorly we have seen that. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Anupam. Pranav, your views.
Yeah. So, Subrat, While personally, I don't believe in categorization of either campuses or people. But yes, you're right. It is an imperative, so to say. It's an ask that you have given limited resources. You have to have some ways of classifying information into some buckets, even if they're slightly uh, not accurate, or but then in the interest of time you do these kind of classifications and you proceed with them. So what changes in terms of competencies when you look across these schools? See, uh, people from different B schools will join the organization at different levels. So it is not only competencies changing. So there is some amount of competencies changing. The mix between technical and functional. So it's not just technical versus functional. It is also within technical which competencies we are talking about, and so that mix also changes. So for example, in field sales role, I would want to look at a competence like being able to being resilient, as you were talking. Every day you being able to get up and do a fresh call of customers. Whereas in a wholesale sales kind of a role, the relationship management aspect of it, the nurturing aspect of it, takes much more importance. So this is an example of within technical skills, the skill itself changing. Second is that the level of competence that we're talking about. So while numerical ability, as Anupam was saying, may be a skill that is applicable across roles, as you go at the higher level, you'll look at level 5 kind of a competence over there, level 4 kind of a competence, whereas in lower graded B school, or a lower or a smaller role, as we say, you might have it at level 1 or level 2 of competence. So it's both the aspects. All the competencies itself will change, as well as the level of competence that you're looking at for each competency will also change.
Right. I think both of you have beautifully illustrated it, Pranav. I'm also a proponent that one day cannot determine that whether a kid is good or bad when we are referring to CAT exams. But then there are some filters, as Anupam was sharing. We all have to live by that. But on that note, one question again to both of you. There has been a research by Harvard which says that the top 25% students of a lower ranked B school perform better than the bottom 25% students of a top ranked B school. Now, this is an academic thing which a Harvard study shows. I just want to know from both of you that what has been your experience, seeing this in corporate life. Is it actually true, or you have second thoughts? Pranav, this time if you may go first.
Sure. So yes, Subrat. So two things. One, I absolutely agree with what your Harvard research is, and a lot of, couple of organizations where I have worked have actually gone around this problem by having an overlapping kind of structure. So if I go to what is strictly called a tier 2 campus, and I'm offering an let's say a grade 8X over there, and I'm going to a tier 1 and I'm offering Y over there. So what I'll do is that at Y, if I find somebody marginally, tier 1, if I find somebody marginally qualifying, I'll ask them, are you willing to come in at this other role, which is lower than your peers? And in case you're finding a difficulty at times, that's also important on campus. People are needy of jobs, right? So in those cases, I ask them frankly that if you're willing to come at a lower thing, we are willing to take you. Similarly, I also have the flexibility of offering a higher grade or a higher salary at a campus. Typically, it's in terms of salary. If I find the person really, really good. So that is, in terms of balancing it out at the campus hiring stage itself. In the long term, it's even more interesting because what I have seen is that after about 10 years or 15 years of working, it is ultimately the individual's competency, individual's leadership skills, individual's ability to grow that matters. I mean, I have had people from tier 1B schools reporting to me, and I have reported to people who were not from a tier 1B school, and I have learned from them. It's not just that I'm reporting in terms of the organization requirement. I have really learned from them. I have really benefited from their insight, because experience itself also carries a lot of insight. So yes, you might have a different starting point in the race, but it's a very, very long-term race of about 30-35 years. And where you end up really does not get, it's like, after about 30 years of investment, what was your initial amount does not have so much of a difference as, have you been consistent with your investment? So these are the things.
I think, Pranav, you made a very valid point that, where you start after campus, it's just the starting point. And you talked about investment over 30 years. So on that note, I will go to Anupam, and because he would be the investment person, and ask that what are his views about,
So Subrat, I liked, thank you, Pranav. You've been very insightful. I've been writing notes. Good to hear that you're a veteran in HR. You've been very bang on with your experiences. I've been into, different roles. So I give an example from HSBC. I spent some time there. So there was a team of global banking. So there were people from Ivy League who were there, and there were foreign nationals who used to manage. So we used to manage Coke, Pepsi, Nestle kind of relationship. And even IMA is a tier 2 school for them. You can't enter into that league of global banking, GRMs you used to call them. And I joined that student in the mid corporate Indian corporates, turnover of 1,000 crores kind of a, and that was a very aspirational band to get into GRM level. But over the years, the person who was heading it, he used to pull people from Indian corporates to that Ivy League. So all Harvard, Yale guys used to be there. And he used to say, yeah, these guys have zeal to work. They have worked, they've made their hand dirty, they are very hands-on to people, they know the relationship skills. So the upper 25% quartile would be, seeing these guys above, and they would have that determination, resilience to perform and, get into the groove, and they have to, work hard to reach there. Maybe the top 25 the lower quartile of the higher Ivy school is that we have done there. I'm from Harvard, I've reached there. I'm from a Cornell, I've done it. So that zeal is what was seen, and over the years I've seen a lot of guys moving in that GRM role and now that plays globally. That's the perfect example which I saw in my life, and that's true, because a tier 2 or tier 3 B school top 25 quartile would have that zeal. यार हो सकता है मैं उस समय focus नहीं था, I couldn't get into a tier 1 college, but now next 5-10 years I'll just rip it apart and I'll go into that league, and 35 साल बाद देखेंगे कौन कहाँ पर है.
Yeah, I think
that's my take on it. Yeah.
No, that's a great example, Anupam. In fact, I would like to share that the present CEO of Asian Paints, Mr. Amit Singhal, he does not come from a tier 1 campus. And I think if we are talking about homegrown industry, that's a great example. And I'm going back 11 years. When I was there was a battle between two people, GM sales and GM marketing. GM marketing, the person who finally became the CEO was from a tier 2 campus, and the GM sales at that point of time was an IIM Ahmedabad alumnus. So finally, it was a tier 2 person who made his mark. I'm just giving a live example. It is not about, bad mouthing about any one or other institution. Students, as I go to Raghav, I will request each one of you. I can see there is a button called Q&A, wherein you can keep on posting your questions. So if you start posting your questions, I can also keep on taking them as and when I feel appropriate. But Raghav, I have a very specific insurance sector question to you. You know, there are certain campuses, I think very handful of them, your alma mater is one of them, who have a specific insurance management course.
Right.
At the same time, you also go to other campuses to hire, employees for your sector. What are few of the competencies, or what are few of your expectations when you go to campuses which do not have a specific insurance specialization? The kids may be from finance, marketing. What are few of the expectations? What are few of the competencies which you have from those?
Right. So, Professor, before I answer this question, I have a trivia for the students. I would name few companies, insurance companies, and I would like them to tell me the connect. So these insurance companies are SDFC Standard Life, DHFL Pramerica, ICICI Pru, Star Union Daiichi, IDBI Federal Life. If the chat box is open, can any student tell me what is the connect among all these insurance companies? I think the chat is not open.
Okay, is the chat disabled? Ms. Mugdha, is the chat disabled?
The Q&A is open, but none of the students have posted anything on the Q&A.
No.
Chat is disabled, but the Q&A is open.
Okay, so chat is disabled, Raghav.
Yes.
I think we'll have to skip
Not
that.
a problem. So all these companies are recruiters to DBS, Delhi School of Business, and not just placements but internships, live projects. So there was a time when insurance companies was looking at campuses who were specializing in insurance, like BIMTech, IIRM Hyderabad, NIV Pune. But last few years, we have seen that we want people from diverse backgrounds. We want not specialized people, but generalists who can adapt to any situations. So I have been to campuses for recruitment. So I would look at a candidate, okay, who is a decent pointer, maybe a 6 CGPA would also do, but he is also a part of various clubs. He has shown leadership while working in various conduits, various clubs. He has done maybe a short-term project. So I have always believed that a leader is a person who can command people who do not actually officially report to him. So people who can influence others who do not have a direct reporting relationship have a long way to go. So I would also look at people who have showcased collaborative learning, who have worked in groups. So because assignments at insurance would involve a lot of interdepartmental coordination. So as an insurance guy, I would be expected to talk to my claims team. I would be expected to talk to my actuarial team for product development. I would be expected to speak to underwriters to negotiate the terms on the behalf of my clients. So insurance is not just about sales. So actuarial will want people who have statistical background, who will have accounting knowledge. Claims would have skills from analytical side. So it is not just about selling, but it is about a lot of things. So insurance companies would definitely give preference to now to campuses who train their students not only on finance or market.
Okay.
Professor?
Yeah. I think that's pretty insightful. That just few days back we all celebrated International Women's Day, and that entire all social media was abuzz with diversity and inclusion. And I think you have brought a very beautiful perspective about inclusion happening in insurance sector also, that now you are looking at diverse set of skills and diverse pool of talent. If I come back to you again, all three of you, and it's a question any one or two of you can take. What is your response when you go to campuses and you ask the candidates that are you open for all the locations? And then the candidates tell you that no, I have a location constraint. How, as a recruiter, you people would respond or react to them? I think this is very important for the students to have a first-hand perspective of that. Please.
Okay, so sir, I would like to start here. So I am a neighbor of VIPS. I live in Rohini. So I know that people at VIPS come from Rohini, Pitampura, Punjabi Bagh, and they want to spend their lives at Northwest Delhi only. So I want to tell students that please work for at least first 4 or 5 years in a location which is not your hometown. If you want to learn, if you want to grow, if you want to expand your horizon, it is very important for you to not work in your comfort zone. So when I started my corporate life, I being a Delhiite, my parents wanted me to work in Delhi. My father already had a business, but I was clear in my mind that I have to work for at least couple of years at a location which is not my hometown. So I worked in Pune, and it was a great enriching experience. I met people who were from a different cultural background. We had a different set of market. The industry was different. The set of clients was very different. And I can tell you the experience that I had then at Pune is with me still, and that experience makes me different from the rest of people I work in the industry. Yeah.
All right. Anupam, Pranav.
So that couple of perspectives on this. Two, three things which are really important and which you have to look at. So first thing I would, taking forward the conversation that you were talking about, that people have a location constraint, and then the next answer is like, no, I don't have a location constraint, but I either want to be in metros or I don't want to be in metros. Or I'll go anywhere except Mumbai. So why except Mumbai, except Delhi? Also, cost of living is high in these places, and the salary is not sufficient, right? Now, the interesting part, Subrat, what COVID taught us is that when the entire world started buying only essentials, the world economy crashed. So if we look at the level of discretionary spending that is built into our lifestyle, we suddenly realize that this whole argument of saying that this salary is not enough for a Delhi or a Bombay falls flat. Because COVID showed you that and this I'm telling you actual data based on the deposit patterns that have happened. So 70% of your salary does not get spent during the 2 months that there was a complete lockdown. Only 30% got spent of the whatever amount got credited to any account. So which means that 70% of our spending is discretionary. So that is one. The second aspect is, I was talking in the beginning about learning agility. Now, learning agility comes from one inherent thing, which is the ability or the willingness rather to unlearn first. To seek new exposure first. If every time that you were asked for an ice cream, the only thing you ask for is a vanilla flavor or a chocolate flavor or a strawberry, or whichever is your favorite flavor, then you would spend a lifetime not knowing what other flavors of ice cream taste like. So, and that in some ways will limit your understanding of ice cream, right? So my point here is that if you have to grow, if you have to learn, if you have to develop skills in yourself, then it is really, really important for you to be open to all kinds of new experiences, not just location. A lot of people will say, I've done my MBA in HR, why should I take up a sales role, or vice versa? And what they don't realize is that the more broad-based your initial career contours are, the higher your chances of reaching a higher level in the overall career and the corporate environment.
I think that's amazingly insightful, Pranav. That's really insightful for all of us, that you took the entire discussion to a different platform altogether. That it is not only about being open to different location. It is also about how do you have different genres of experiences in your kitty as you want to progress. Anupam, your final thoughts on this?
So I agree with Raghav. I hire for Delhi location, and I'm not Delhi guy. I won't come to South Delhi. I'm like, man, come on. This is very basic. This is straight metro to your house. Also, I'm very comfortable in North Delhi. I've worked there for 7-8 years. So I, as an employer, also want you to be comfortable in your shoes, but something you be open to change. So if you're not open for location, you might not be open for so many things which you might see in a job. And at times, I would give you a home location. I want to give all the comfort. After COVID, there are VPNs. You work from home. You're not expected to come to offices, go to clients, meet clients. So a lot of dispensation has happened at our end also. Only thing I'm looking at, are you open for any change, not only in location, but in your work life? And if you're not okay, then I am somewhere not okay with you. That's what it is. So and I think Pranav has hit on the nail. You have to get flavor of all the ice creams in your life. Yeah.
So I think the bottom line, which all three of you are sharing, is that when an interviewer asks you, "Are you open to different locations?" The underlying thought is not only about just the location. He or she is also evaluating that how open you are to different challenges and how open you are to different experiences in your life. And saying no to a location perhaps removes a lot of tick mark from many other things which you may or may not be open. Pranav, one question specific, again, this is specifically for you because you come from this fraternity. I'd like you to share with students. This is my personal experience that if, over the last 4 or 5 years, ever since automation has picked up and obviously COVID accelerated it like never before, a lot of entry-level HR jobs, they are largely being automated. So if I look at, the typical jobs which would come to slightly lower ranked campuses, I'm talking specifically about campus jobs over here, they have reduced over a period of time. So two thoughts. One, would you advise the students to remain open to something which you said just now in your previous explanation? And also those who are still, very much determined that, no, I want to do a career in HR only. What would be some 2-3, advice which you'd like to share with them?
So Shubhrat, you are right saying that as automation increases, as technology intervention in business increases, not just in HR but in all functions, the jobs which have a low level of skill or low level of competency or low level of complexity associated with them will be the first which are amenable to automation, amenable to being coded into certain segments and just be moved to a machine. So how does one, and this is a challenge, please understand, and I'm seriously telling, this based on research, I'm sharing this fact, even for you, me, Anupam, for all of us, what I'm talking about is not just campus freshers, but even experienced professionals like yourself and other panel members. If we do not get better at certain skills, we also can be replaced by bots or by AI solutions. So we have to be constantly bringing value to the table. Now, how do you do that in how do you do that in a function like HR, especially as a fresher? And two, what is it that you do, as you said, that be open to other areas, or how to increase your level of competence for specifically an HR role? So, firstly, being open to other areas helps, not just because it increases your business ability. One of the core competencies, or one of the core skills that are missing today when we look at hiring experienced HR people is business understanding. So if somebody has spent an initial few years in business and then has internally moved into HR, then at a middle stage of the career, that person might have a higher chance of getting strategic HR roles as compared to somebody who's been in HR and does not have adequate understanding of business. So that's a real challenge over there. Second is that within HR, if you want to make yourself employable to that extent, then you have to be a T-shaped talent. So when I say T-shaped talent, what I mean is that you have to have some level of competence across the spectrum of HR and have very, very deep knowledge in one particular area, which will form the vertical pillar of the T. Because that depth of knowledge is what will make you attractive, or what will make you employable as far as HR. Because if you have only transactional knowledge, that can be simply automated. So that's where we still need people who are specialists and who have a deep understanding of a topic, because they can help with one, automation itself. Second is improving the results of automation and driving those automation projects. These specialists are required in that journey. But if you don't have that specialist knowledge, then it becomes really, really difficult.
I think you have absolutely nailed it, Pranav, because one of my favorite statement is that a robot may not take the place of a human being, but the problem is many human beings today work like robots, and their works can definitely be overtaken by bots, whether in 3 months or 3 years. That is just a matter of time. I have got few questions, and there are the students can also ask. Just there is one question which I thought I will put it across. Siddharth has asked, Raghav sir, when you graduated out of BIMTech, did you know that you are gonna be in insurance sector? Was any of your prep skill development channeled towards a particular sector? Siddharth, I will take that question on behalf of Raghav, and I will tell you that Raghav's specialization only was insurance. So the day he joined, he was aware of the fact that he will be looking forward to an enriching career in insurance sector only. The next question by Shorja Sain, and for this I will request you, Anupam, to share your views. How much the skill of data analysis is key to any management-based job? How important is data analysis skills?
So, but I've answered that, but I'll again reiterate. So it's critical, especially if you're in a finance kind of a job. I am into. We manage a large amount of data. This Excel, pivot, VLOOKUP. I'm in a team lead kind of a role. So monitoring the team. You are at a entry level. You're dealing with money, right? So you have to make sure that money is safe. The money is coming in the right hand. So you will be thrown with loads of Excel sheets, and you have to be on top of that. So not even data, we talk about macros, we talk about statistics nowadays. There are a lot of inbuilt tools there. So if you have an edge on it, so we call it. So when we were graduating, so but in 2001 around, computer science was in. So today data analytics is in. Okay, people make dirty amount of money in this kind of field. All this data of Flipkarts and Amazons are there for you to data mine and get the results. Are you thinking to buy next? So that kind of data penetration is there.
Yeah, but Anupam, I have, just a follow-up question from my end.
Yeah.
A lot of data analysis happens, and you'd be seeing a lot of kids sharing that R, Python, and all of that. Can you just let everyone know from your experience that before all of that, how important is Microsoft Excel and macros? Before they talk about all those, amazing things. No, I just need your views on that.
So everybody can write a book, right? But you need to know ABCD. So I would say Excel is an ABCD for a Python. That's what you can say. It all will start from there. So Excel you can't go away from it. Excel is imperative. So you don't know where you land up. You don't land up in R Python job on a day one. It will eventually come to you. But you have to start up with, I see people struggling with pivot, VLOOKUP, and these are very basic things we learned in fact, we had an Excel course in our tech college in 2003. So that is basic. वो MBA college में नहीं आके 12th के बच्चे कर लेते हैं. That's expected out of you. People don't ignore that, and then they come in interviews, they falter, and then they leave a bad perception, bad taste in your mouth. So that's not good. This is the basic. You should cover that.
Yeah, that's very valid. So now I'm opening the Q&A. Students, I had taken a couple of questions which you people had posted. Now anyone who wants to ask the next question, you can just unmute yourself and shoot the question. My only request is please keep it short so that the panelists can answer effectively. Anyone who wants to ask, go ahead. Unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yes, good morning, sir. Am I audible?
You are.
Yes, sir. So first of all, I would like to thank. This was such an insightful session. Thank you so much, sir. And sir, I've posted a question. I think I've also received an answer by Raghav sir. But sir, I shall repeat so the audience can hear. That my question was that what shall we polish more while preparing for a job interview in marketing domain, specifically in FMCG sector, and what are the things that we shall emphasize more in our CVs and during the interview. And thank you so much, Raghav sir, for sharing the answer.
So, Monira, if I understand correctly, your question was around that what should be my focus area while preparing for the FMCG FMCG job interview.
Yes, sir.
What are the things we shall emphasize more in our CVs and during the interview?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyone wants to take that, or do I take this question?
So I'll take that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because as HR folks, we do a lot of CV analysis and shortlisting and those kind of activities. So one thing is that I have seen two kinds of students. One who have a very clear understanding of the job role, the sector, and the kind of whatever they want to do. Second is people who have this belief that they have that understanding, but when you start checking for drivers, as Subrat, you would understand how you can do that through various NLP and other techniques. So when you start checking for drivers around the areas that they say that they are interested in, you find that the picture is really, really different. Now, so what I'm focusing on, Subrat, here is that before even getting into writing a CV, it is important for individuals to clarify and crystallize how they see their career shaping up and how they see their first job as instrumental in shaping or giving direction to that that career. Because if you're not clear on what you want, you'll probably end up in a wrong job, irrespective of how good the CV is. And second thing is that when you have this clarity, Subrat, then the second step that I'm going to tell you about, which is how do you build a CV in a very short manner. Then the first thing, that clarity is there, then the second part is really, really easy. And the way I put it is that, each CV, Subrat, is a story.
Oh, yes.
Now, if you want to be in a position to present your story yourself in front of the interviewer, your CV should, read, that story should be, interesting enough for him to call you to have a better understanding of that story, right? So that's how you design a CV, to my mind. Always ask this question: that what is the story that is coming out of this layout, this presentation? And believe me, everything from keeping your name on top to keeping your name at the very end of the CV tell something to people who are practicing psychologists or who have a psychology kind of bent, especially people in HR. Every one of those small little details tells something to a recruiter or to somebody who is looking at the CV.
Oh, I think, Pranav, the only one sentence which I will add over here for Monira is, Monira, you may want to check, the career landscape of a lady called Geeta Ramchandran. She was earlier with Asian Paints. Now she is there at a leadership position in PepsiCo. That's a perfect example of a lady going up the ladders. But one word which I would like to change you from your understanding is, you said while preparing for a job interview in marketing domain, please understand for FMCG, it never starts with marketing. It always starts with sales. And if you are open to that,
Absolutely.
the road for marketing will open. Otherwise, it will not. Next
Yes,
question.
sir.
Anyone?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next question.
So Subrat, there's on the Q&A tab, there is directly
Hi, can I ask a question?
question to me, which talks about small finance and any specific requirements for SFP. Not really. There is no specific requirement in terms of technical skills. Any financial service institution would look at technical skills very, very similarly. The challenge or the reality of SFP, which students should be aware of, is that SFPs are are very, very deeply located. They are rural focused organizations. So our branches, irrespective of which SFP we talk about, the specific geography can differ. So we might have a larger presence in at my organization, we might have a larger presence in East India, or some other organization might have a larger presence in South India, or somebody is based out of Punjab. So those aspects apart, all SFBs work very, very deeply in India. So we have rural locations, we have at best semi-urban locations. So circling back to the point on which location, what can I go there and can I not go there? So as long as you're open in those terms, rest of the skills because for an SFB to accommodate a request for a Mumbai or a Delhi might be more difficult as compared to a universal bank.
Yeah, Pranav, we live in an interesting world, and multitasking is the name of the game. So I have also been multitasking. That on one hand, I was moderating the session, and on the other hand, I have been getting WhatsApp messages, and I am responding to them also effectively. So one of the WhatsApp message advised me to wrap up the session in 5 minutes. We have
Sir, we have a raised hand.
No, I appreciate that, but I will just go ahead with 3 minutes are gone. Last 2 minutes, I hand it over back to Garima to conclude the session. Rajiv sir, if you have any thoughts, any questions, we'd love to hear that. But from our
Yeah,
end, it is
Subratji, am I audible?
yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. And first of all, my regrets. I think there was some network issue unexpected because of some power cut. And I really regret and the inconvenience caused to all the panel speakers. And of course, I think as a concluding thought, I must say that this has been a brilliant session with some very useful insights for the students. I think the objective for which, with which this session was organized, uh, three of the experts, Raghav, Pranav, and Anupam, all of them have given their wide experiences. And I must say, to summarize, just to add or maybe summarize, is that the students must realize today that uh, and has to come out with certain myths and misconceptions. And firstly, that okay, I have a PGDM uh, diploma or MBA degree, and I am smart enough to maneuver situation or maneuver people. I look smart and I am smartly dressed, and this is what I learned over 2 year period of time. And I have all the PPTs and everything on mobile, and maybe just 2 days before, or even I have seen students few hours before they are just uh, uh, scrolling the mobile and trying to probably outsmart the recruiter. I think this is not going to work. And the earlier, the better they realize. Earlier they realize it's better. And I think you need to develop your software. You need to understand uh, what you want to do, and you have to really, really work hard. And secondly, I think the second misconception, or I would say myth, is that okay, that XYZ institution, MDI or XYZ, or maybe even a very comparable institution, students are getting some kind of a better profile, or but and so you are comparing in a very simplistic way what is in offer, what someone has got, but you have not gone deeper into that what that particular institute or those students have tried to uh, work on, and how they have developed themselves, how they have prepared themselves in terms of skills, and whatever has been explained, or the insights which have been given right now. I think they would have worked through them, not only just for a few months but years together, whether it was during the 2 year program or even before. And I think one thing also very important is we must all understand that we need to learn. I look at my own journey. So I come from a state from Bihar, and within Bihar also I moved because of my father was in administrative service and he had a transferable job. So I would have moved right from cities to villages and remote areas. And 86 I moved to Delhi and I worked with industry, and then I moved into academics in 2002. But after that, I never hesitated moving out of Delhi. Virtually after 86, I am a Delhiite now. But then from staying in Delhi, I moved to Jaipur, I moved to Visakhapatnam, I moved to Jammu, I moved to Pune. And the kind of learning that, so we want to run business, we want to be successful leaders, or we want to be successful business practitioners. But we cannot become that, we cannot achieve that by just concentrating or reserving ourselves into a small ecosystem or an environment. Say suppose if I am in North Delhi, I am my preference would be that lifetime I spend in North Delhi. Forget North Delhi, if I am all the time, if I am in Delhi, I would not understand what India is all about, what society is all about, what market is all about around this country. And fortunately, this country provides so much of diversity in every respect. So therefore, you have a tremendous opportunity to learn. So I think these are many myriad points that has been touched upon. I'm glad that you all have also talked about that it is just not that you need to work as a machine. All human beings, machines cannot replace I would say human beings. Human beings always be there, but then human beings have to behave and work as human beings. So at this note, I would say that something coming from straight from the mouth of recruiters, straight from the industry experts like you, would have been much more convincing, much more, I would say, convincing and practical to understand for the students. Rather me telling or any of the faculty telling or the friends telling them, I think many of the time these students get carried away or are influenced by the word of mouth they hear from their peer group. I think they have to come out of it and they have to spend and listen more and more to what these industry experts have to say. I mean, today they are in a very different role, mentoring you, talking to you, but then tomorrow you will find them on the other side of the table coming for recruitments. So there, that time they will not tell you that why they are not picking you up or what they are looking into you, or they will simply reject or they will simply select. But today you have the deeper insights, inner insights, which they have shared. And I can only tell my students that you need to understand them, take them seriously, and work upon them. So with this note, again, I would like to thank all the three panel members. I would like to thank Subrat for this excellent initiative. And I must assure you that this is our intent at the B School, DSP, that we need to bring our students closer to the practical learning and real life learning, and from those who are really practicing it. So at this note, thank you, and I hand it over to to my student who has been comparing beautifully. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. On the behalf of Delhi School of Business, I would like to extend a sincere thanks to all the esteemed panelists and moderator. Thank you so much, everyone. In the times of pandemic, we might not be able to establish a physical connect, but we surely would like to acknowledge the effort made to enlighten us all through this interesting and insightful panel discussion. I would now request our guest to kindly accept virtual mementos on behalf of the entire DSB fraternity. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence and helping us gain such valuable learnings. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much for having us, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks.